Hey, what's up guys? It's Technical Tim here, and I want to thank everyone so much who's been liking all my videos and subscribing to the channel, and I'd really appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up or subscribe if you haven't already. And I did that podcast with Gugabe, I recorded like 2 days ago, and I know I was kind of like on the fence on a lot of different fights for the UFC Copenhagen card. So I just kind of wanted to like clear them up and just give a quick final thoughts video. And there's a ton of cards this weekend. Bellator is on right now, the Gallagher card, but I don't even know how to figure out how to watch it. Like, I don't know, there's something going on with like tape delay and shit like that. But let me briefly go through, just so you know, on the Bellator card, I'm not going to go too in-depth on this video on all the fights, just because I kind of went in-depth on a lot of them on the Gugabe podcast, but I'll just kind of go through my picks more of like a quick pick type of video. I might dive into some of the technical stuff here and there. But as far as the Bellator fights, I'm on Archuleta. I talked about why I'm on him. I got him as a dog at like plus 130. The line's coming in. I could see, if you miss the Archuleta boat at like a plus 130 to 140, which is where a lot of people got him, he's around like plus 105 to 110 right now. I could see a bounce back to Pitbull, so I would just wait that out and maybe try to get a better line. And then I'm also on Darrion Caldwell, and I got Darrion Caldwell around the minus 150 range, and I think right now you can get him. You can get him around like minus 160-ish still, but I think there's value on him. I was taping Corrales, and I just feel like Corrales is really prone to takedowns, watching the Pitbull fight and a few other of his fights, and he hasn't really been exposed to it that much, so I don't think people are quite aware, because a lot of people haven't tried to wrestle him all that much. But I feel like Caldwell's going to get a lot of takedowns, and I feel like Caldwell will be able to be okay on the feet because he maintains kicking range pretty well. He can kind of just use the distance and land some kicks. Neither of those plays are big plays or anything, just kind of smaller plays on Archuleta and Caldwell. But I think those are both money lines that I find a little bit of value on both of them. So then now to the Hermanson and Cannonier card. No play on Davis Chikadze, because I just can't trust Davis to for sure wrestle. Like, he might, but we don't know that for sure. So I think there's a little bit of a risk. I do think he could win a kickboxing fight, though, even like an MMA kickboxing fight, because he throws so much volume. So that's kind of my quick reasoning for that. I'm on Shore. I talked about that. I'm on a moderate play. I wouldn't throw the house on him or anything, but I do think Shore is gonna... I think he has a lot of advantages in that fight, and I do think he's going to win. I think Noah Helen's completely capable of winning the fight, but I just think he's pretty outmatched on the floor, and I just see a lot of opportunities because he throws so many kicks, and because I think Shore's takedowns are good because he kind of shoots so many takedowns, and he mixes up the variety. He can shoot singles. He can do a lot. He can trap you up against the cage. And Hernandez, I saw on his regional tape that he gets tracked up against the cage, and he throws a lot of kicks. And I just feel like it's a recipe to go down to the floor. And I don't think Shore's completely outmatched on the feet either. I do think Hernandez can win a kickboxing fight, but I don't think it's a for sure thing at all. So that's kind of my quick reasoning for Shore. Chikadze and Venata. I'm not going to play Chikadze at the current line at minus 150. If that gets into... I don't think it's going to close too much, but if it does close, if it happens to close at minus 110, I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to hit Chikadze. I don't think I'm going to get that line, though, so it's probably no play there. Chason and Landsberg. I think I mixed a little bit of Chason in a parlay with or something, but I don't have considerable action on that fight. So yeah, nothing there. Ismail and Sayar. I talked about on the podcast where if Sayar closes at plus 200, which I expected him to, if it kind of widens out a little bit, that I'd probably play him, and he has. He's closed at he's at plus 190 now. You can pretty much get him right around plus 200 now. But I decided, because whenever I tape them, I do think Ismail's going to get off to an early lead. So I'd rather just live bet this fight. I'm just going to live bet it. I'm not going to force a pick that I'm not incredibly confident in. So that's what I'm doing there. Alessio and Muradov, no play. I think if you got Muradov early at his like big underdog line, that you could arb out or just ride it out. I don't think there's. I usually don't always like to arb out. I'd like to play something like that, but you guys can do what you want to do. But I have no action there. Amidalski Phillips, I'm staying away from. It's way too fucking low level. I think both guys can win. I really don't care. I could see Phillips like just winning a kickboxing fight. I could see either guy landing a big shot. If Amidalski decides to wrestle, I think he'll have some success there. But we don't know how like Carla Esparza, we have a wide variety of fights and a track record of her averaging about 7 to 10 takedown attempts to fight. We don't know that about Amidalski. We've only seen one fight where he wrestled. I can't bank on him wrestling. I think it's just, the more I thought about the fight, I think it would be kind of irresponsible to play this fight, in my opinion. Amidalski might get lit up on the feet, and if you play Phillips, he's not good on the floor. He could really get dominated down there, so I just think there's no value here. Oliveira Dalby, and the line's closing. Oliveira can get him at minus 135. I'm tempted. I'm super worried about Dalby sticking around and having a good later half of the fight. That's what I'm kind of worried about. I'm also going to stay away from that, although I'm really tempted on Oliveira. I think he's going to win, but his implied odds are around 56% right now. I'd have to cap him around like 63% to win. I think you could maybe get there, but I'm not positive. I'm not positive about that. So the odds are honestly probably about accurate, so I'm not going to play it. Olek and OSP. I do have Olek as a parlay piece. I don't think he's a bad parlay leg. If you want to throw him in there, he has a huge striking ratio advantage here. I mean, he throws way more. I do think the submission risk of just because OSP's so big, not because he's more skilled than Olek on the floor or way more skilled technically, but because he's so big, I could see an early bully submission. And a KO is always possible in MMA, but I do like that Oleg keeps a high guard and he blocks kicks well and punches well, kind of because he has that boxing background to where he really, really protects his head well with that high guard. So I think that kind of mitigates the KO path. And I think the sub path, just because I like Oleg technically on the floor as far as his get-ups and guard retention. I saw it, and that was like 5 years ago when I saw a fight where I liked him technically down there. So I tend to think he's not going to get finished, and OSP has two ever decisions in the UFC. He's just not a round winner, and he only lands about 2.5 significant strikes per 15 minutes, and Oleg is double that. And I just feel like Oleg's a better round winner here, and OSP probably needs a finish. I think if the finish happens for OSP, it's going to come early with a submission, and then there's always a possibility for a KO. But I talked about how I think Oleg has the answers to both of those, and I don't think he's going to get finished, but it's still possible, so there's always a risk. But I think Oleg's going to win, and I don't mind him for a parlay piece. Kudalaba Roundtree, the more God damn, there's so many I'm on the fence on, but I'm kind of just staying away from a lot of the ones I'm on the fence on. I like to be a little more confident in my picks than other people. My risk tolerance isn't quite as high. But Kudalaba and Roundtree, the more I taped, I think Kudalaba's going to win. The takedowns could be there, and I feel like he's going to push a pace, and I'm not sold on this Roundtree Thailand 2.0 stuff. I don't think in one camp you can fix all the holes in your grappling and cardio. I just don't. And the thing about Anders in that fight, what I think that fight was, I think Roundtree was able to stand at distance and fight at his own pace. That's why I think he looked so good. Anders didn't attempt a takedown until he only attempted one takedown after he had been dropped twice. And Anders didn't pressure. He stood at range and just got lit up by leg kicks and pretty much anything Khalil wanted to throw. So Khalil was able to fight at his own pace. Cutelaba will bring a fight to him. He'll bring a fight to Roundtree, and what I saw is I think he could get some occasional takedowns and just clinching and kind of wear out Roundtree, and I think eventually both of these guys are going to get tired, and I think it will just kind of turn into a sloppy bit of a fight late. It could end early, both guys hit hard, but I think that's kind of the fight I'm expecting is I think Kutulaba's going to bring a fight to Roundtree, and that they're both going to kind of get tired. There will be some clinching and kind of a fight like that, and I tend to think Cutelaba, he has an output advantage, and I tend to think he'll just kind of be winning the tired clinch battle with occasional strikes and mixing in occasional takedowns here and there. And I just kind of think this is going to turn into a kind of like a sloppy dog fight. And even in the striking, at range, Roundtree's a lot better, but in the inside, if he really pressures if Cutelaba pressures Roundtree, I think Cutelaba could actually do well inside. And that's kind of the way I see the fight. I tend to think Kutulaba's going to win this, and I think the line's flipping. But I think I'm going to pass here, but yeah, like, I tend to think Kutulaba's going to win, but I'm not confident enough to make a play. If there was a gun to my head and I was forced to play, I'd play Cutelaba, but that's kind of the way I see it. I have Matson to close out a parlay leg at plus 150 carried over from the previous event. Same with Oleg too. He can close out like a good parlay leg that will earn me cash from last event. I parlayed it with like the overs, I think, on the Askarov Moreno fight, so I'm in good position there. So I'm just going to ride out the Matson parlay leg. I wouldn't touch his money line. I actually do think Beluardo has a chance to get take advantage of the straight line kind of double leg game that Matson plays. I could see Beluardo getting a back take or something at some point, but I just would stay away from this fight in general. Burns and Nelson, I lean Burns. I'm torn. I tend to think Burns is going to win. I don't like either of these guys on their back in this matchup, and I think Nelson could have success on top late on Burns, but Nelson does not throw enough to be confident. Both guys could clip each other. Honestly, the line that I was kind of looking at, I don't think I'm going to play it, but the fight doesn't go to decision at plus 155. Like, there's going to be some wild shit going on in this fight, but I think I'm just going to stay away from this fight as a whole as well. And then I ended up taping Hermansson Cannonier. I think this is another live betting opportunity. I tend to actually think Hermansson's going to win after kind of watching more. And the thing about playing Cannonier is if you bet him live, you kind of avoid that risk of him getting subbed early, which I could easily see Hermansson getting like a quick type of submission or a guillotine early in the first round. So I think you avoid that risk, and he'll probably be an underdog after round one anyway. Like, even if Cannonier wins round one, he'll probably be a slight underdog still, just because he's such a heavy underdog now. And if he loses round one, and you can kind of sense a pivot coming, he'll still be a bigger underdog now. So I think live betting's the way to go in that fight too. So honestly, like, the main plays I have right now are kind of Caldwell and Archuleta and Bellator, Shore. And then I have a few props in there. I'm just going to kind of like hold on to those for the people who bought my picks. And then Oleg, I have in like a parlay. I have Matson to close out a plus money parlay. Same with Oleg. And those are kind of my plays. So that's everything. If you have any comments, just comment below. Thanks, guys. Bye.